It has come to my realization that a lot of us clearly do not know how to think outside the box. Um, People usually think that thinking outside the box means thinking differently or just having different or contradictory thoughts on certain things. And it might be true, but they usually forget that imagination plays a big role on thinking outside of the box. And so you can see that many of us, right, we lack the imagination to think unconventionally. This is why you find it's prominent that people just seem to just go with the flow of life and become, eventually at least, they become mechanic. Their thoughts become mechanical and almost to a predictable state. And it's hard for most to think unconventionally, simply because they're not taught to imagine things, to reimagine their own lives, to imagine themselves in a different or many different ways they can take life. And until you realize that your imagination has that power to unlock other possibilities, different possibilities, you may find yourself always thinking conventionally. And the power of the imagination, right, is the thing that usually fuels innovation. It fuels your own motivation to do things in a larger scale, to do things that you never would have thought or just would have imagined you could do. Think like people who invent things, people who do extraordinary things in life. All that means that they used their imagination, they used what they had been given through the power of their mind. And this is where it starts. So to think in a larger scale, to think big, you have to, in fact, use your imagination such that it is able to take you from where you are to a different place. Ways you can use this power of your imagination is you can visualize and set goals with them. You visualize vividly how you'd like your life to pan out, right? How you'd like things to go your way. You can even use things like vision boards. You can write these things out. Just stretch the imagination such that it goes beyond just your conventional thinking. It goes beyond what you normally know. We can take, for example, athletes, maybe like Olympic athletes, right? For example, the fastest man on earth, I don't know if he still holds that record, Usain Bolt. People like Usain Bolt, right? They actually train hard, but also they use their mind to visualize their winnings. The training does not only end in the track field, right? they work hard in the track field, do all the physical things they're supposed to do. However, they're still going to use their mind to imagine themselves winning. They imagine themselves crossing that finish line. It's just as important as the training that you do in the physical, your physical training, your track and fields training, right? Your cardio, all that. You still have to imagine yourself. You have to go beyond that physical that you have and imagine yourself winning. Imagine yourself doing things that before they even come to pass. So seeing the finish line before you actually cross it. This way you're preparing yourself for the win. You're preparing your mind and your body especially to cross that line before you even cross it. So your imagination plays a big part in this, and we have to learn how to use this imagination that we have or we create to actually take us to the next level of our lives. And another bonus with the imagination, right? It can help us overcome mental blocks. Because when we are imagining ourselves or recreating ourselves within our mind, within the imagination, right? We usually get mental blocks. These are usually the things that oppose our goals, the things that oppose our vision and our mission. But you can still use your mind to reconstruct or reimagine, right, yourself overcoming these mental blocks. These mental blocks are nothing but your opposition. These mental blocks are nothing but things that are there to try and stop you from moving forward. As we know that as long as you are moving through your mission, through your vision, there'll always be opposition. There'll always be those hurdles. There'll always be things that come between you and your dreams. But imagining yourself solving these problems, imagining yourself going through these things, no matter how hard they are, you can at least have meaningful ways to pass through these hurdles, and then even have that motivation to really move forward despite those hurdles. So you can still see how important imagining yourself overcoming these. So other ways you can foster imagination, right, is through being creative, just participating or just engaging in creative activities that may be creating music, writing, playing music or an instrument, painting, drawing, or just simply doing things like journaling, writing diary and all that. All these things engage your mind, and then it really takes you away from that stagnant thinking, because you are forced to use your mind when you're playing music or learning how to play music. When you're writing, right, you're engaging your mind to think. You're engaging your mind to do things that are totally different, especially when these things you are learning these things. So it means that you are forced to really use your mind to learn, and your mind becomes stretched. And once your mind becomes stretched, it means that your imagination is also taking you to a different direction, usually where you want to go. And you can use all this creativity to create a vivid imagination, because now you'll have concepts of how your imagination works, how your mind works. So you can take your imagination as a sort of compass, right? A navigator that can guide you. it will guide you through your towards self-discovery, allowing your imagination to align with your passions and your values, and then making sure your principles are set just as much as your morals, right? And then imagine yourself now unfolding all these as you create that life that you crave, that life that you want. Now, don't get me wrong. Why imagination here means that you are creating things within your mind that are positive, that you want to see. You're envisioning. You are creating. It does not mean that you are living out the work that is supposed to be done. If it means that you want, for example, you want a certain lifestyle, you want to live in a place, or you just want let's just imagine you want a car, you want to live in a house that you've always wanted. It still means that you will have to work, you will have to save up, you will have to make sure you're setting your goals and going through the usual daily routine of working and creating that life. So the work part is different from the imagination part. So the imagination part is more of the meditating and making sure that your mind is set to receive these things that you are craving, that you want, the lifestyle that you want, and you create it in your mind. You do what you're supposed to do first within your mind, and then as you still work, you still saving money to buy the things that you want or to live the way you want. So you can't separate the two, work and mindfulness and imagination. You can't just imagine things. That would be just imagining things that you want. It will be tantamount to wishful thinking. That's totally different. That's wishful thinking, right? If you want to move away from wishful thinking, it means that you now have to work towards the things. You have to do all the proper things that you are supposed to do, working your job, creating your business, so that it brings you that lifestyle. So as you work through your job, you work through your business or your hustle, you are not wishful thinking, right? Wishful thinkers are just people who lay back and then do not do any work. All they do is talk, and they never go out and hustle and to create that life that they have to, So imagination works hand in hand with your hard work, with your work smarter. So it just imagination is just a way of envisioning that life. So it's almost like chess, because also your imagination is more like a strategic thing. You are strategizing also. So it's just like chess, but chess, though it's a mindful game, you still have to move those pieces on the chessboard. You still have to move each piece intelligently on that chessboard. So you first think about your moves. You imagine your opponent's moves or the opposition's move, how that person or that individual or that situation may stop you, right, or oppose you. Once you know, at least you have imagined that, now you can move that piece intelligently within that chessboard. So you see, these things work hand in hand. So you can't just sit there and then just imagine the whole day, right? Or you can't also just move those pieces just anyhow. Otherwise, the opposition will counter you very easily. And so to summarize this, make it your routine to imagine yourself cultivating a healthy body, cultivating a healthy mind. And that's one way of going towards the God self, the God version of you, the best version of you, cultivating your mind and your body. So imagination is the other half of the work you are doing. Don't just work without having time to meditate, without having time to rest and think. And so you reset your mind, and then visualizing yourself that your body will now be too overwhelmed. So work hand in hand with your imagination. Stretch your imagination, right? Do try and do the things that will now expound your imagination and make your whole mindset broader than it is right now. And that's really thinking outside the box. And thinking outside the box is just not thinking differently or just trying to act a different way, but it should also be a way of taking you into the vision that you have created or you want to create as you work towards it. So your mind and your body work hand in hand, and make sure that the God self is in balance with your imagination and your work as you create that life that you think you deserve. And with that said, till next time, in fact, and peace to the God.